Welcome back to Chats with Jack. I am Jack Talcott. And greetings, blessings, salutations, and love. Once again, welcome back to Chats with Jack. I am Jack Talcott, and I am excited today because we actually already have a guest, an invited guest, waiting in the back. And we're going to go through some processes today that I hope will bring a little bit of clarity to some of the things that I've been offering. But my heart is excited. And I won't keep her waiting too much in the back. I won't keep us waiting too long. Let me jump into a couple of things. For those who have been a part of this Talcottian journey, I'll speak to you briefly. Yesterday's stream is now missing. It appears that our friend and guest, one of those who joined yesterday, his sabotage was effective. So yesterday's stream is no longer available. I don't know the processes, and I'm not too concerned with it. But brothers and sisters, there's things that are happening in this world that really don't make a lot of sense. Today, with the guest, with me, in the background of me is love, in the background of the message today, and with our guest patiently waiting, together we learn most. And my hope today is that we're going to kind of demonstrate some of this actively, publicly. This quote on the thumbnail, Terence McKenna, he's one of my favorite minds to enjoy. This quote, reclaim your mind. Get it out of the hands of the cultural engineers who want to turn you into a half-baked moron, consuming all this trash that's been being manufactured out of the bones of a dying world. He's got a gift for the description that I appreciate, but it is what I've been learning for myself. It is better to be without thoughts than to be consumed with ideas that do not benefit you. It's better to be without thoughts, without opinions, than to be filled with ideas that don't serve you and the world you're living in. So please consider how conformity, just the idea, how does conformity, how might that benefit those who want to rule and profit from your life? These are things I didn't think about an awful lot in my past, but today I am consumed with ideas and thoughts of love and reforms and change. And so let me go ahead and bring our guest, our friend. She's been here before. We've known each other a few years. The Jubilee.
Thanks, Jack.
So this was an idea Jubilee had. Please forgive the stumbles. A couple of things I've been learning in my path, in my life. We all have within us these little, we've got a toolbox. We've got different ideas, different practices that work in different ways, whether it's canning or gardening or speaking or thinking. There's all sorts of tools that we can pick up along the way. And Jubilee had introduced me to this idea of solution raising. And if you think about it, it kind of tells what it is, but she and others, there's practices and steps that have been proven and they make sense to work. And so Jubilee and I had done a solution raising exercise some time ago, but I'll be honest, my friend, I don't remember. And so we'll have you lead us a bit through this today.
All right, sounds good. And the solution raising can work with just the two of us, or we could have a couple more guests up here as well. Solution raising is a 1 hour conversation. We'll probably go a little longer to come up with a adjacent possible solution to a complex issue. So today we're tackling legal secrets and lies. It works in 3 parts. So first, each person takes 2 to 3 minutes to share uninterrupted their what that currently looks like for them. So what legal secrets and lies currently looks like in the world, the good, the bad, the ugly, and it generally looks like venting. And then the second part, we move on to sharing our version of the world where it's as close to solved as our imaginations can muster up. And they do not need to match because none of them are possible. We cannot live in a utopia, but then we move on to the third step, which is what can we do right now if we had 10,000 people and $100,000, our $100,000. The idea being that each person could put in $10 to create a voluntary, powerful solution. So with that, if you want to share the link and put guests up, so of course can't see them in the back. Otherwise, we can get started and you could share what you think of as legal secrets and lies and what that currently looks like.
I appreciate that. Hey, yes, I am going to go ahead. We'll open up the link or drop the link. And for those who are available, you're welcome to join, but it's not another hangout section. It's conversations with intention and with purpose. So for those who do feel invited, you are invited if you feel pulled to be a helpful participant to the conversations. Because with these ideas, here, I made a note on this earlier. It's just my experience, and it's true for all of us. And it applies to this topic of legal secrets, profitable lies. You don't know until you start looking into the things you don't know, you will never realize how the lies, how the secrets have corrupted your experience. That happened for me. I started looking into the world, trying to understand things that I didn't know before. And the more I learned, the more I understood. I'd been lied to since I was a child. And I started lying to myself, and I am guilty as a father of lying to my son, telling him that this American dream is the world is filled with lies. Okay. If we can accept that fact, we're a lot better off. I mean, if you can understand that the world is filled with lies, then what do? Well, it's up to each of us to find our way through to discover what is true. So here, we'll jump in as people, and please feel free to ask questions too, if this is a group participation in this conversation, right? So regarding the first step, and as I got your outline, we'll come back to the solution raisings. So the first, we spend it openly. Each is invited to share their observations on the problems. What is the result of what we're experiencing? Then paint the picture so we can share in the vision of the problem solved, what it would be like if it was magically just done, right? For step 2. I love it. It's the individual practice of coaching, right? Do an inventory, the path of recovery from addiction, all of these things, it all applies. It's all the same steps, same process. Become honest and humble about what the facts are. Envision the solution being done. Feel and know the successful change, and then come back to where we are. And what's step 1? Let the adventure and the path to the dream become realized. I don't mean to go on so much, but briefly, my observations of the problems of legal secrets. Legal secrets have, here, we got a first guest, and I think this is Chelsea.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, wonderfully. Welcome, my friend, and thank you.
Hello.
I think you were here already. I'm assuming you're familiar with the idea. So, solution raising regarding legal secrets and profitable lies. What it's resulted in a lot is people have placed their power in these illusions of authority and not just given the power away to authority, but believe that people who have more resources are somehow better people. The world has turned into this celebrity nonsense, which really, think about that. There's no difference between any of us or a celebrity other than opinions. So we live in a world where opinions have been governing and people have been convinced into all sorts of things. One of the worst things that I believe mankind has been convinced to is war. War is a self-destructive act. We are contaminating the earth. We are polluting the world, not just in the active combat zones, but every military base across America, and we've got hundreds of military bases in foreign nations. The American military, the military industrial complex, is the world's greatest polluter. Why does this happen? Well, it happens because people, the masses of people, 8 billion people, are saying, what can one person do? There's a lot of us saying that we're out resourced, we're outnumbered. I don't believe those are true. Here, my conclusion, why we need to overcome legal secrets. It's resulted in profitable debts, profitable immorality, and it's literally driven mankind insane. There's exceptions, of course. Not everyone is completely insane, but legal secrets and the divisions of wealth has resulted in the world we have today. I'll yield, please.
I can go next. Legal secrets. Charlie did ask what are legal secrets, which might be helpful if you defined that, Jack, since it's one of the things that you say a lot.
Thank you. Specifically, I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of examples I've come across, but generically, it's the oaths, it's the non-disclosure agreements, it's the vows of secrecy. Nations go to war and enemies are created because of secrets and lies. So when I'm talking about the legal aspect, it's not just in the government secrets that have contractors going out, overthrowing, involving themselves in other nations' elections, spreading unrest. Secrets are the devil. I mean, not to be the religious thing, but secrets are the devil's tool. Truth. I'm not explaining what I mean very well.
I think you explained it for us to have a jumping off point for
Thank you.
sharing. Legal secrets and lies. I think you touched on a lot of good points there, Jack, that the profit-driven motive it incentivizes lying. It incentivizes the greed, the lie of greed, that you could accumulate enough wealth to make you happy, which will never happen, which divides us. It puts us at war internally and with nations. We can Transparency seems to be the antidote to legal secrets and lies, but we don't have the technology yet to be fully transparent, and I don't think we have the human capacity to hear the truth at this moment in time and deal with it, individually or collectively. That we're so profit driven. Every single sector has been corrupted to maximize profit, even if there was a good reason that sector was there. The EPA, the FDA, Food and Drug Administration,
Yeah.
they've been corrupted by profit. They're there to make profit for the select few. And the biggest lie is that it's anything but that there's any motive beyond profit driven under capitalism. And we prosper best when each of those sectors is designed for purpose with full transparency. And that is something we can come to agreement on, because we can agree on facts and truth in a way we can't agree on what Jack calls, and I started to see of as opinion. We can have very diverse opinions, but it's not going to get us to the actual truth. And I don't know if I'm communicating what I wanted to communicate well, but I will yield. And Chelsea, do you want to share in this section?
Okay. All right. Can we hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Please.
So, the system as I see it right now has problems because, for one, especially in the States, how do you guys feel about cursing on here?
Be yourself, please.
It's totally fucking classist. If you can't afford an attorney, your outcome for the exact same crime is going to be very different than your rich neighbor across the way. I'm live. Can I? Okay. And that's not fair, right? That's not just. And part of how we got that way is, like Jubilee mentioned, corporate greed, human greed. But also, one of the ways we've reached this point is through the legalization and incorporation of legalese, which is a special language that lay people mostly cannot understand, and it is designed that way. It's kind of like the terms and services when you're on an app. Like, even if you read it, would you understand what it was saying? Maybe a little bit easier than legalese. So, legal representation in a fair court of law is hidden behind a paywall. And although it is technically legal to represent yourself in court in the States, unless you're truly in a small claims court or a traffic ticket court, you have odds stacked against you because the attorney next to you knows the fancy words that the judge is going to say, oh yeah, they're right. Also, with that, and this will be my last comment, I think, judges come from the attorney pool. So when, say, you get a county or a city judge, that county or city judge, this is in the States, was an attorney. So the attorneys that are coming to represent the clients are people the judge went to school with, people the judge went to the football game with, people the judge went to the bar with, people the judge don't like, people the judge do like. That's problematic as well. And I will yield.
So before we move on to the second part, we can have a open discussion about this section of what it looks like currently, because generally when other people share, it brings up further comments.
Can I jump in here? Because you guys, you're wonderful. It's the selfishness. Selfish people lie. Liars become greedy. They make excuses to continue the lies. And we have a world where it enables selfish liars with power. And what Chelsea said, everything is tied together. And when we see problems and solutions one place, it often applies in others. I see this in government and religion. The experts and authority, they've overcomplicated everything. Why? Because if the masses don't understand, they stay confused, well, then they're afraid. And as long as they're afraid, well, those who have the job creators and the authority, well, they got to be protected. We got to depend on them. The legalese. It should not cost men and women money in order to live. And the governments and this legalese, I'm sorry, I'm bouncing around. But what you said, Chelsea, the idea that these judges come from the attorneys too. I saw others, they presented this case, they presented the facts such that if you think about it, it is an organized society. It's a conspiracy. They have different knowledge. The judges and attorneys, they keep themselves separated from the people in some ways. Their loyalty is to the bar. The bar is loyal to the banking system. It's crazy. Let me shut up. Those were ideas that came up from you guys. Please. Thank you.
I think you're onto something, like that lies are selfish. That the reason to lie, the reason to be anything but transparent is almost always selfish, even if it's to protect someone's feelings, because it's to not have them abandon you, not have them leave. And yeah, that's what was coming up for me.
Hank, thank you for the contribution and your support. Jack, I'm glad you are prepping. I will return in kind after my second shift today. Is information you don't understand the same as a secret? Is information you don't understand the same as a secret? It can be. And this is what I learned. It's the internal mechanisms in us. We will create a cognitive blindness. If we jump to a conclusion, we will not see things that contradict. So people have been keeping the truth a secret from themselves. I did that. And an example of it that's applicable, I believed I couldn't forgive. I believed that what happened in my family was unforgivable and there was no way I could get over that. I lied to myself. Because the truth is, once I did find forgiveness, once I did get over my opinions, I became free. And this is what I realized. The world has literally driven us nuts. An example of our insanity: we should never lie, especially to those who love us. And yet, that's often what Jubilee said. It's often where lies happen. Is we love people, we care about them, we don't want to see them hurt, and then we corrupt ourselves. So here, I'll yield, please.
I think the most harmful type of lies are the lies that aren't just straightforward. They're the kinds that are designed to be lying in your face, the ones that are designed to be subversive. And you can see this in both the medical field and the legal field, where it's obvious they're using a dead language. They know none of us speak Latin. And in the case of legalese, yes, it was designed so that the common person couldn't read it. And it was designed to fly right under your nose as law without us understanding it. So to me, those are the most dangerous kind of lies. And yes, so legalese would be a lie.
All right, let's switch. Do you guys want to? Do you want to say one more thing, Jack, and we'll switch over to the second part?
I could keep going for a long time if you allow it, but well, here's another lie with regarding the legalese. People in positions of authority, because it was challenging and they spent a lot of time learning all the details, people in positions of authority, they convince themselves and others it's not understandable by someone like you. You got to rely on me to tell you. All we need from each other is the facts. And then with the facts, as long as I believe a child can understand, let me not get us off here. Please take us back, Jubilee.
Well, I think you're going into the next part, which is sharing what does the world look like when we have solved legal secrets and lives, when we don't have that. We have, well, whatever your version of that solved is. For me, it would be transparency.
Do you ladies want to go first? I think I led last time.
I'm happy to go first unless Chelsea wants to go first. Oh, what does it look like when we don't? It looks like full transparency. It looks like everyone has access to the full understanding of medicine, of legal, of our environment and what's in it, what's in our soil, what's in our air, everything that is handled by the state and marketplace right now would be cooperative and open to all. So not just that it's there and transparent, but that you can dig as deep as you want to or can. And part of that is people giving their gifts to the world. And some people's gifts are to make things make sense, make things complex, make sense. And getting as deep into, that you have access to the data, access to the amount of molecules of lead in the soil in where a gas station used to be, or you can trust somebody else who had access to that. But you can always go into the data and the information yourself to see if you can understand. And I like the idea of most things should be able to be explained to a fourth grader. Most things should be able, and kids are honest. So if you can't make it make sense to them, they will tell you that you're full of shit. So that is, I could probably go on, and I probably will when we get to the next part, but that is what it looks like when we've solved legal secrets and lies. We have a system of information we can trust and people surrounding us that we can count on like a village. And I can't wait. I can't wait for us to get there. Chelsea, do you want to go next? I think Jack was first.
Oh, did you want to go next, Jack?
No, I can go after you. Bear with me just a moment. We've got a guest in the back that I have suspicions about, but give me just a moment, please. Tess, are you there? Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Sorry for the interruption. One of the demons who likes to join and waste my time. Waste our time. So sorry for that interruption. Chelsea, did you want to What do you think? Go ahead.
Yeah. So this might be kind of a controversial idea, and I'm not even sure if I personally totally believe in it, but I think it's worth discussing and possibly researching as a possible solution. Of course, anything legal is super complicated, but okay, so our entire legal system in the States and presumably Canada, we're talking about colonialism, right? So it's really hard to think about it outside of that context. And um, so my ideas kind of come from within that context. And I always want to let people know, if you're watching me and this doesn't age well, I don't think I'm 100% correct. I'm always open to learning new information. I'm always open to the idea that I've been misguided before I go forward with this conceivably edgy idea. And when I popped into the show, I just want to say, me and my husband have a special interest in self-representing ourselves in court and looking in law libraries, and we've had some wins and losses. So when you said legal secrets, I was like, oh yeah, let's talk about that. I've had lots of conversations about that, because we spend a lot of time in our life in poverty and we can't afford lawyers. Okay, with that being said, there used to be a thing in old England called common law, and it was not legalese. And what it was instead of being laws, it was precedents for the past decisions of the case. And it focused more on the resolution of conflict than it did over this law or that law. And it was, it operated like civil court. It operated without attorneys. That stuff didn't exist back then. But it was basically the common laws were there for people to know, first off, what was kind of legal and what wasn't. And two, it existed to resolve conflict instead of and I would even go so far as to say to easily resolve conflict instead of create more conflict, create more money. It wasn't there to generate money and get a recess and hire some more representation or just all this baloney. It wasn't there for all that. It was there so two people in conflict or two families could go and get their resolution in front of the, I don't know, Lord or whatever. Now, I'm not saying at all that we should go back to those laws, because obviously we've grown as a society, and obviously there is more nuance to our society. And the problems maybe even have become more complex outside of the major problems like murders and abuse cases. But there's a lot of this stuff is the same old stuff. Someone came over from your family and damaged my family's property. Your dog bit my horse. A lot of it is still kind of the same situations that we've been working on for a really long time. So my idea is just an idea. I'm not saying I 100% agree with this. It might be a really bad idea. My idea, though, is to rework a modern common law that everyone can read, that sets a modern precedent to where if we had a conflict, me and you could go to a court that wasn't even a small claims court, but we wouldn't require legal representation, and there would already be a precedent for what has been done in the past. Not the exact same precedent that was in Old England. I mean, writing a whole new set of conflict.
Thank you, Chelsea, for sharing. After Jack coughs, would you like to share your utopian-esque vision of the future?
Yes. It does sound like it's impossible, but what you were talking about regarding the precedent, that's actually what the courts and the society has done against people in some ways. We've been convinced that the past has control on the future. But another way I heard what you said, Chelsea, is that you're talking about leading people back to the older ways or the ideas that have been around for a long time. So the way I see it, the wars all around the world, they can end. Choices brought leaders to send their men and women into war, into battle. The same system can order those men and women to stand down. And the same systems that have created a billionaire class and millions of people facing food scarcity today. I mean, that's just one basic thing that people need is food. And we live in a world that's so focused on production and consumption that we're filling up landfills. We're running out of places to throw the trash. Let me get back to the better world, right? I'm sorry, I'm focusing on the negative. So the future, when secrets are no longer legal and the corporate, the CEO is not making 300 times or 1,000 times what the worker is making, we're going to bring some equality, some genuine, authentic cooperation together. And I tell you what, mankind, despite all of our problems and despite, the rough edges that a lot of us still carry around, people are amazing. And so when people around the world, the wars have ended, we've agreed to reform, and we're going to focus not on profits and debts, not on this punishment and revenge. We're going to focus on nurturing, growing, providing forth for life. So all around the world, we can work together in every community using the best practices that have been developed. We share the best practices, we share the technology, we share the resources and the ideas, and we can totally transform this money system. Stop paying, we can get out of the focus on the material and on the details and start living more united together. I see a future where every man and woman is free to travel wherever they want in the world with whoever they want. And they can know that wherever they go in the world, they will be cared for. That when they get to their destination, they don't have to know everyone. They can go to someone and people will be there happy because they're not enslaved to debts. They're not being overworked by over demanding authority, and they're not living in fear of persecution. I see a future that's beautiful and glorious. I'll step back from there.
Awesome. We can open this part up too, since we have a little bit more time than an hour. Usually we don't because, like I said, they don't need to match. But I think that our beautiful version of the future where we're done with legal secrets and lies is worth having a conversation about.
We just got a guest who he's been open and very, very confident in his defense of the current systems. Welcome, Flo.
Thank you, Jack. Nice to meet you too. Jubilee and Chelsea.
Nice to meet you, Flo. Do you want to share what your beautiful version of the future is?
Oh, I don't have one. I am content to. I look at life more like surfing than driving. So I'm content to ride the waves and see where it takes me.
The wave brought you to here.
Yeah, I did.
So I want you to sincerely, Flow State, I'm glad you joined. And if I can interrupt this, Chelsea, I don't mean to be rude to you or Jubilee. I'm glad you're here, Flo. That little punk, I want to be profane. Our little buddy, the juvenile clown unslaved. his little appearance yesterday got my stream stricken for privacy issues.
I missed it.
It was juvenile.
Did he dox somebody?
Yeah.
Who?
I don't even know. Well, that's the stream yesterday. The video no longer available due to a privacy claim by a third party. So Paul has actively been working with others, encouraging others to take me down, to unsubscribe, to...
Yeah.
This dude is insane. And the damage to me is not, right? I'm not worried about it. But this clown is out of his mind.
That is far from the most insane thing that he or you or I or probably either of them two have ever done. It's just malicious.
Yes, there we go. Maliciousness. Okay, so surfing the waves of life, Flo, brought you to here. I really believe there are reforms available to us. A world without liars, selfish liars in charge. That's what we've been doing.
Sounds like a world without humans.
What if humans were, but that's just it. What if humans were as they were, but they're just tweaked? They're no longer focused on...
We could get rid of that pesky free will.
Actually,
definitely not. Definitely not. We need our free will.
Right. No, I'm fine with humans as there are flaws and all. I can't think of an alternative that's better.
Well, we can switch over to the adjacent possible, which is just an improvement. Just the what could 10,000 people that are voluntarily...
Did you just say just the tip?
No, just 10,000 out of 8 billion. 10,000 people who want to get together and create a solution to legal secrets and lies and put in $10 each of their own money to do that. 10,000 is big enough.
Are you both insane?
You definitely can't have a meeting, and small enough that it's not impossible to get together. You get 10,000 people together by tomorrow who wanted to put $10 into a solution if they heard what they wanted to hear.
I'm coming in cold, so I didn't hear. I don't know how long you guys have been on, but I just heard before I popped up here the last minute or two about the common law thing, right? So, but you guys don't need to backtrack for me. I'll catch up if ever. But that plan sounded like just as ambitious a plan as he's got.
Well,
overhaul everything. Are you wanting to overhaul everything?
I am overhauling everything just by living my life. I'm the Jubilee.
Okay.
But by doing adjacent possible, by going with the flow, by surfing, by doing the next thing is how we get there. And then we get the biblical Jubilee. We get a reset of land back to who it belongs to, which is herself. Anyway, that's going off on my whatever.
You're going to have a hard time telling that to the people who are in control of it now.
That's why we're not going through them. That's why we're not talking about 10,000 leaders or necessarily going through the politicians. We're coming up with solutions that are voluntary, that are powerful and voluntary. And yet it's not my job to make them, just spark them.
So you're going to convince
them. What I think 10,000 people can do with $100,000 could be to recreate the EPA and FDA. What is in, and I mean with truth and science and data, not with profit and lies, like just what is in the soil, what is in the water, and having 10,000 people around the world taking soil samples, taking water samples. That would be more than $10 each, but having 100 people around the world collecting samples. And anyway, there's a lot a lot of things that 10,000 people can do to bring more transparency to the environment, to medicine, to law. I don't think we could revamp it and have, I loved Chelsea's idea, but I also agree with Flow State that anytime we need to click over and have a utopian idea, that's why it's not possible. It's about sparking that idea. And I loved it. I loved the idea. I didn't know the foundation of common law. I live in a common law country, and I didn't know that there's a realness to the start. But of course there is. It didn't start with lawyers and judges in white wigs, which is, anyway, something that happens in Canada as well. What do you think could be done with 10,000 people and $100,000? Anyone else?
I mean, $100,000, nothing at all. The EPA's budget is over $9 billion per year. Yeah,
Here-
nothing.
Yeah, my answer to the question actually doesn't necessarily go with the question, because and Flow State, back to, you can't imagine it different. You can.
I
You're
can.
not willing.
That might also be correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not willing to believe in things that seem absurd to me.
You're not being asked to believe in it. You're being asked to consider it and just imagine, to play with your imagination.
Well, you used the word believe, so I went along with the word believe.
Fair enough. I don't always choose the right words, but what this is, the idea of solution raising, it's a mental exercise. And the benefit of a mental exercise, pushing your mind into ideas and concepts that you hadn't really spent time focusing on, or that you're not even readily willing to consider of value.
I don't know why you think I'm not willing to consider them.
I haven't seen evidence.
You
of
haven't
it.
convinced me.
But this is
Right, this
the
part
thing.
isn't about convincing. This is about
Okay.
sparking ideas,
Yep.
right? This is brainstorming. Like, every idea is okay because we're not necessarily putting in $10.
Fair enough.
And if you
Then
did, the most
I'm
it would
there
be at
with
risk
you
is
then.
$10.
Here's
I
another.
think one of the things we could do, which is similar to what Chelsea shared in Beautiful Vision, is possibly an IMDb for lawyers and judges. Is a weaning that you're tracking who they're like everything that's publicly available in law, to have a rate your lawyer, know how they're connected, know who they're going to barbecues with. That wouldn't necessarily be part of IMDb, but that they were in trial together, they were on the same case, they were under the same law firm 5 years ago, that this judge knows these people. We can actually track how, and or politicians. IMDb for politicians is also one of the things that could be done. And it doesn't mean it needs to be, equivalent of Google. It could be you can make an app for $100,000.
I know you already kind of mentioned it's not in the consideration, but I truly do see the path to the problem. It's through the system. It's using the system to change the system. But that kind of gets into what the Powder Dusty was honest about, convincing. Well, this is where we are in a spiritual experience as human beings, and I've been trying to convince people I don't think that's my path anymore. What is happening is the truth is coming out, right? And the truth about the corruption, something one of you said regarding the divisions in the world, whether it's by wealth or position, religion, all of this stuff. We don't have to place importance on the divisions if we focus on uniting together, because we are all united together in this life. And my first thought of ending legal secrets Well, we have a system where the government and economics profits from exploitation, whether we're exploiting the animals in the industrial farms or we're exploiting other people, moms and dads working 3 jobs. The whole system is built on exploitation. Transparency can overcome exploitation, but then my thought went back to the early beginnings of America. There was no secret that there was slaves. That was out open in the public. Well, the corruption of today is out and open in the public. I don't see money as being the answer, even if a bunch of people shared their money. Because really, if we got 10,000 people like us to put in a little contribution, how about we just find a way to invite people like Elon Musk? Invite the people that have had successes in this life, and we can have a conversation with them about what is real, some of the alternatives, some of the options we've got. What we can do. Sorry, if you're ready, Chelsea, go ahead. What I was going to offer is what we can do wherever we are is be aware that even the people we don't know, the people we pass on the streets, the people who come into the house, we're all in this together. And so if we can find, when opportunities arise, if we see someone who's having a problem, they're seeking help, we can pause, pay attention, listen. We can start uniting together in the communities. And in the communities, we've got representatives and people connected to the systems uniting together. Flow State, thank you, brother. The first $10 towards dystopia. Dystopia.
I think 10,000 people and $100,000 could feed each other, could figure out like permaculture, and feed ourselves. When people are fed, they're way less likely to accept the current state as it is. And one of the things that we all do have in common is that we need food. And irregardless of our political beliefs, irregardless of what might divide us in our values, finding even like I live in Vancouver, so like 10,000 people local to Vancouver, figuring out food together, figuring out how we could eat better quality food for less money is something that we could do without needing to get on board with other things like right versus left, etc.
Is it my turn?
Please.
Okay. I think I came up with 3 talking points. The problem with trying to get someone like Elon Musk on board to help is that asking a powerful person to voluntarily relinquish power to create equity amongst all the people, I don't believe would work. Elon Musk already knows that he can practically solve world hunger and homelessness in the States or even North America, and he chooses not to act. What he does choose to act on, well, we've all seen. I don't need to repeat. Now, as far as 10,000 people and $100,000, 2 things popped into my mind. And I do come from a blue dot in a red state, so I will say we live in agricultural land. I live in a place where a lot of food is grown. So in our city and in our state, Every year, our water gets tested, and we get sent a pamphlet that shows everything in the test, the good, the bad, and the ugly, including how they intend to treat the water. So everyone here knows the water is poison. We have arsenic in our water. We don't drink it. It's there. But also, I think, well, for whatever reasons, we have access to extremely inexpensive soil samples. Anywhere from $10 to $25, you can get your personal soil sampled. And what they do is they send it to the kids at the university, and the kids break it down under a microscope and send you like a 10-page report of exactly what is in there and how to what their recommendations as future farmers would be to correct it, whether, and they even include a commercial products all the way down to organic DIY products. So I guess that's somewhere we can throw $100,000 at, is getting the water tested annually and sending out pamphlets so that people were aware of what was going in their food and their body and their mouth.
Didn't you just say that's what's already done?
It's done where I live.
Okay, I think it's done everywhere.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. My second idea would be, and this might very well also be something that's already done everywhere, but to open up law libraries and make sure there was a marketing effort to let people know it was free and available to the citizens, and maybe even go a step further and have paralegals working that can help you find your documents, print them, maybe even notarize them. And that again might be something that's done everywhere. But like Powder Dusty said, $100,000 is a drop in the bucket in the legal system. So other than that, I don't know what we could do with that money.
Money.
$100,000. We could buy a badass truck. We can make a killdozer.
And then do what, Flow State? Do what with a killdozer?
Man, just cruise around. I don't even know yet. See, I'm just surfing through life.
We
could go surfing.
Right? Well, I don't mean to be
how you're about to be.
How I'm about to be. I'm trying to pick the words accurately and correctly, but there's a lot of ideas, people building communities, people rewriting new constitutions. There's a lot of people doing a lot of different things. But what I see is kind of, I hear trying to help people cope and help people deal with the oppression. It's the division that's got us completely confused. And even the idea of 10,000 people and $100,000, I'm not saying that it doesn't have value, not at all, but the value comes from the people. It's not so much the money, it's what can we do. And if we got 10,000 people to unite, I don't know if it's enough, but who's in that 10,000 people? Who do they know? What do they have access to? The truth will set us free. That's why it's time for legal secrets to end.
Oh yeah, I wanted to say one more thing in regards to people like Elon Musk handing over power for equity or equality. It seems pretty cut and dry. If my dog goes and bites Jubilee's horse, I owe Jubilee for a new horse. It's not complicated. But if my dog went and bit Elon Musk's horse, I'd probably be, or no. If Elon Musk's dog came and bit my horse, I'm not getting Jack because Elon Musk has the attorneys. So I'm not sure if I explained that right, but I think you guys know what I mean. That because me and Jubilee are somewhat equitable, probably, you know, uh, say her dog bit my horse, she would owe me a new horse if I sued her. But if
These are some powerful dog bites.
they are,
Took out the whole horse.
no, these dogs were designed and trained and bred to grab animals by the foot and the ankle and drag them, and that's enough to render a horse eventually dead because it will die if it can't walk. So, anyways, basically, I'm saying the power dynamic between me and Jubilee and me and Elon Musk. I'm not going to get a new horse out of Elon Musk. I'm just going to be out the money and probably embarrassed and possibly make fun of or have to go through some sort of emotional stuff to get in and out of court and lose. So
That's even in your idea, you're relying on the courts. This is what I'm saying. We, the people, it's time for us to redesign our relationship with the courts, our relationship with the government, our relationships with each other. Because this world of punishment and division, it's not what we were designed for. Yes, we have the capacity to be beasts, to be manipulative, to be violent, to be whatever. But truly, when a human being is at peace, when they feel safe, all of us experience this. The moments, if we don't pay attention to it, we may not really notice, but when we just pause and we be, like here and now, the past, all of the history we've learned, all of the life we've lived, it brought us to here and now. And a human being, when they are present and they're not moved by corrupted thoughts, corrupted feelings, human beings are pretty damn cool. And there's some sick games being played out in politics and economics, and real life human beings just like us. They're facing. Here, we learn in life by what happens to us. And when things happen with us in life, we look to others and we see, how did they deal with it? Or how am I rating? Well, when I saw my life transform and things changed for me, I started looking at the lives of other people. There's a true tragedy happening right now in Palestine and all around the world. In every community, there's men and women confused and angry and alone. And that's not how we're supposed to be.
What I could use the most with 10,000 people at $100,000 is 10,000 people who are looking for a chosen family and an app that makes it easier to. There actually is one that's in the works, but it costs money every month, which kind of destroys it as a foundation for having people join it and therefore being able to find people. But having 10,000 people who wanted chosen family, who wanted intentional community, who wanted to grow food together, I don't know how else to explain it besides chosen family, could create an app together with 100,000 and then start, because the 10,000 could then go out and invite 2 people each, who invite 3 people each, you know what I mean? Like, it's when you have 10,000 who are the founders, who've put in the money and care about the project, you also have them be the marketing, be the people who are already going to want to use the project, the thing they funded and had a say in.
So
It's to
you're
combat
making
the idea of loneliness.
what's the app that you're developing? An app?
Sorry? That
Are you
was chosen family.
Huh? What's?
It was finding chosen family. So like finding
I don't know what that means.
people. So like a dating site, instead of a
Mhm.
dating site, having a find a new brother, sister, mother, cousin, like actual family
Mm.
that's beyond the monogamous family unit, that's eating together, growing food together, whatever, finding people to work on a project with. But like, I want chosen family, and there's no way.
Do you know
to
who
actually-
Sophie Lewis is?
I do not.
Okay.
Can you say who she is?
She's a family abolition activist, and she sells family abolition, which is, of course, terrible sounding, under the explanation of basically what you just said. Like, wouldn't it be better if instead of having a biological family, everybody was your family? One of those things. So I was just wondering if that was in the same vein or not, but
Sounds like it. I'll check her out. Sophie Lewis was her name.
yes.
Thank you.
I will say, while Jack's AFK, I, like everyone else, get stuck in this mindset that the problem is too big for us to tackle. It's too complex. It's too far gone. And I repeat those words, but in my heart of hearts, I do believe anything that's been done can be undone as far as our government regulations go and the way our system works. So I'm not blaming anyone for getting down and saying this is too far gone, but I was trying to give my daughter a little pep talk today, and I was telling her, no matter what happens, it can be undone. The people's lives can't be undone. The broken families can't be undone. But if this legislation passed, this legislation can be undone later. So it's something I got to tell myself, because we're programmed to believe. It's just the way it is. That's the way it's always been. That's the way it's always going to be. That's not the fact. That's not the case at all.
So I just want to say, like, this is there's a reason so much is coming up in this section, like food and legal and everything else, because legal secrets and lies, everything impacts everything else. Everything's chicken and egg. Everything's like, wow, this is big and complex, and how do you tackle it all? The idea of a solution raised, this is a hard topic, like to solution raised, not because like we've solution raised climate change and the judicial system, and it's not the complexity of it. It's the understanding of like what is a legal secret and lie, right? And everything that would improve the world any amount is going to be, well, an improvement. And the idea with the solution raising is that if we can improve any area, we can improve every area. It doesn't need to be this. It could be the same 10,000 people tackling a new issue every year, every month, whatever they have funding and time for, or it could be 1,000 different 10,000 groups, and people are part of different ones. That there is absolutely possible for improvement, not necessarily for the overhaul of a whole system where we all agree and we all magically get on board, but you can find 10,000 people to create something that is a drastic improvement.
Oh yeah, and 10,000 people seems like it's a lot more powerful than $100,000.
Yes.
Agreed.
Hey, you said something that struck me. People are taught to believe. We have throughout all of the nations, throughout all of society, we've got people divided because they've been taught to believe. People believe a lot of things they cannot prove. They believe a lot of things they cannot explain, but people will fight over their beliefs. I did in the past. I'm learning how to not fight so that I can better communicate and we can understand one another. The general this is kind of off topic, but it is kind of tied with the thumbnail. We live in a society where cultural engineers have turned many people into half-baked morons, believing they know what's going on, but they don't. And what's true, the scripture, it's not religious, it's wisdom. There's wisdom in those teachings. Rest, be still, and know. We've got to rely on what we know more than what we believe. And that includes allowing ourselves to change, allowing ourselves to learn and know different things about ourselves, allowing ourselves to learn and know different things about each other. But if we're always fighting, trying to stay confused, trying to stay normal with what we've grown accustomed to, it's self-sabotage. And the world is actively working towards self-destruction based upon the selfish liars that keep getting put into positions of power. So it's my theory that we were created and became who we were at this time for a reason. What is the reason for our being? I think we're here to change the world. And not to keep going, but something else you said about the dissolution of the family and extending out into a greater family. It wasn't my choice. It really was not my choice, but that's literally what my life did with me, right? My family is gone. They're out of my reach. They're not around. But I feel safe and at home wherever I go because I know that my family is the world. We're all in this lifetime together.
Have you tried kidnapping?
No.
Anything's possible if you believe in it.
Anything is possible. I don't want to believe that kidnapping is the answer, though. I believe.
Well, if you change your mind, holler at your boy.
Thank you. Hey, steps we can take. I don't know.
I'm still not entirely sure. Like, are you two signing people up for something or raising money for? What are you trying to accomplish here?
The solutionizing is just a thought experiment. So I mean, anyone could, right? Like,
You're just running ideas
say,
right now.
Right. And let's say someone was super excited. We came up with something that was amazing. And all of a sudden we had 10,000 people could get together and be like, yes, let's fund it and let's see how it goes and get a tiny group of people that are more akin to having a meeting and a conversation who actually are going to move the project forward, or hire a tech team or whatever it happens to be that makes sense. But that's not the idea of a solution raising, is to just spark the,
Okay.
I reshared a comment that Krissa had put on the restream. Solution raisings are very powerful. Even just discussing the issue makes a difference. And I do find that. I find that they leave a feeling of hope, a feeling of like there is something we can actually do that is possible, and doesn't leave that like, what can one person do? Well, maybe not a lot, but one person can recruit two, who can recruit two, who can recruit two. And a lot is possible with 10,000.
I hope to reach 10,000 in some way. Hey, it took us off. Sorry. My joke distracted me.
I mean, I bet you've already made it if you consider how many YouTube views you've had.
Well, in some way, I guess so. The connecting the ideas. Honestly, I believe that ending secrets, we stop having employees on the news and government officials telling lies to the news. I see that as the solution. So when we get the right ideas,
it's kind of hard to implement.
Well, tell you what, you get the right ideas and the right people together at the right time. miracles can happen. So say we got 10,000 people, and I'm kind of aiming at a target audience. I'd love to get the 600 Americans who represent all of the states, the ones who are employed in Congress and the House, the administration of the US. So if we got 1,000 of those public officials from DC and their connections as part of that 10,000, praise be, there we go. They got all they got connections to media, they got connection to the corporate leaders, they got connection to the banking representatives. They got the connections, man. So I want to recruit the men and women of the United States government to join us in our efforts. See, they could invite Elon Musk, and he has said before, if I remember right, he did say he was willing to contribute some billions of dollars or millions of dollars for anyone who offered a solution. Well, I didn't reach out to him, and that time moved on. But many of these people, I believe in my heart, there's many, many women of poverty level and billionaire level. They're willing to have the world change, but why should they give up their hard-earned, why should they give up if it's not going to make a difference?
Why did you single out women when you were just now?
Did I single out women?
You said, I bet there's millions and millions of women.
Oh, I meant men and women.
Okay.
Sorry. Hey, I don't know what the future is going to bring. I know there's a lot of people who do know that there's a lot of problems. There's people who know more details about the problems than me. There's people who have more details on some of the solutions that I'm talking about. But I truly do believe, sincerely, there's something amazing happening in our world right now. And I feel a part of the world. I'm not a part of my family. I'm not a part of the town anymore, but I am a part of this world. And
you want me to get my duct tape?
For kidnapping?
You trying to start a new business here? Flow State?
You know,
Kidnapping with your...
I'll start a kidnapping business. You start an app and we'll see who can get more funding, more startup funding.
Which is why I'm not. At no point are we starting an app until we have 10,000
Look,
people.
If I get this kidnapping company off the ground and you need to, I'll hire you for the kidnapping company.
I feel like we'd solution raise kidnapping. It would be the opposite, how to not have people kidnapped. But you know, you can
kidnapping is the solution to some of life's hardest problems.
I think not. I think that autonomous individuals having full.
This is one of those jokes I don't want to hear read back to me in court someday.
That's why I'm not saying nothing.
Yes. Yeah.
Work on manifestation. You never mentioned it before. I don't talk about manifestation much, but it is a part of our life. We have been manifested, meaning we emerged and we became part of this through a lot of different variables. The power of our mind works with the universe. The power of our mind can work with each other. If our mind is open and if our spirit, our emotions will allow us. And I think the world is ready for change. The world is ready for men and women to become honest. My testimony myself, when I started working on me as a man, I knew that if I wanted to be better, I had to overcome my excuses. I had to overcome my blame. The excuses I used to find for, I can't do that, I can't find time for that. Once I actually chose to exercise more, to be healthier, to do whatever, I proved myself wrong.
I think one thing that could be done with 10,000 people is, we had talked about it kind of in the beginning, the idea of kind of radical honesty. I don't think that exact term came up, but 10,000 people who wanted to be radically honest with each other could start something very powerful. You don't even need the money. You can use Zoom. You can use any groups of people in radical honesty. I feel like without the trolling, this channel and other panels are very close to that, because if people are up on video chat, they're gonna, even if they're masking, even if there's like, anyway, that plus honesty, that plus radical honesty, I think could be a powerful, I think that's the essence of what I saw on Paul Enslaved and Jack's channel, was something akin to honesty, even if it was mean honesty, even if it was locker room jackassery at the same time.
It was pretend honesty.
There's been a
And I
lot
think
of
there could
that.
be something much more powerful that is real honesty, that is, you know, getting radically honest with each other.
Well, Jubilee, that's actually what I have envisioned in my mind. We could use the technology. I mean, seriously, I know people here in Spokane. I know people in Washington, D.C. They know people in Congress. But I haven't been able to get the attention of people who know me, let alone convince them to try and help me. But I envision this conversation with the men and women of Congress and the UN, and we have an honest conversation about radical acceptance. The fact is, the men and women representing the United States, they have collectively failed in the performance of their duties. And I would love to have a conversation with them about what their duties actually are regarding their positions in legislation, particularly at this time where America is playing proxy wars with other nations. It's time to have a voice from the people be heard by the men and women of Congress. And I'd love a chance at trying to be that voice. Because seriously, go ahead, Chelsea.
I'm feeling a little dizzy. I'm going to go lay down and watch you guys from my phone. But thank you for having me. It was a wonderful conversation. I love solution raising because we think about big ideas instead of just being stuck in our little tiny world with our little tiny problems. And I like that. I think it's really good for at least me as a human and my personal growth. So next time, guys. Thank you.
Thanks,
Nice
Chelsea,
meeting
for
you.
coming.
Yes.
And I would like to give a plug for solution raising, both that if anyone has a topic they would like to solution raise, I'm willing to go on basically anyone's panel and talk about a topic that is something I care about. It has to be something I care about. And with that in mind, also anyone can just do a solution raising. It's not proprietary. The whole point is get together in a conversation and do those three, which I wasn't very clear. The third part is brainstorm, so it's not necessarily taking turns to share, but the first two, you each take a turn to share what the world currently looks like, then have a bit of an open discussion, move on to the second point, which is the utopian future that where it solves, which doesn't need to match, and then the third one, which is what can you do with 10,000 people and roughly 100,000, either 100,000 a month or 100,000 for one project. And this has been a great conversation. I've really enjoyed this solution raising. If anyone wants to share more, I'm going to take off on the hour, so like in 5 minutes, and leave the rest of the stream to you guys.
Hey, respect. Thank you. Flo, you have thoughts?
As far as things that I want solutions for,
Feedback with what she offered. That's where I was going. So maybe.
yeah, I don't have a lot of feedback on it. I'm not really sure, honestly, what any of the three of you are trying specifically to do, except for make change. Well, Jack, I've been around enough to know, but his ambitions are so big that there's not an entry point. So I'm not sure what anyone's entry point is in this. I'm actually fairly. I don't view our economy as slavery. You could equally as validly view it as service, because that's both sides of the transaction. I don't view the world is full of problems. Obviously, there are some, but it would also be a problem to not have any problems. I think that humans need problems, and that we'll create them if we don't have them, which we can obviously see. I think that that's the biggest problem right now, is that our lives are too cushy. That's why you're going to have trouble getting 10,000 people who are motivated to do anything. Our lives are too comfortable.
I want to press back, because I've heard that narrative before. If there were no problems, people would create problems. Well, or would they be, rather than focusing on painful problems and actual issues, I actually think when people don't have problems, their mind goes to ways to improve.
Is that what happened during lockdowns?
It's what happened with me. I got over my mindset of having all these problems, and I started finding peace with me, despite the situation, despite the ways of the world.
You're still finding problems. You've just externalized them.
Is it? Well, I'm
They're the same, that like if we don't have problems and we're just improving things, that in and of itself is a problem we're solving. It's just thought of differently. A problem is a math problem. A problem is, how do we grow more food? How do we combine this food in new and in more amazing ways? And I think that individually we have ingenuity. That, what is that saying, that like mother of necessity? Ingenuity is the mother.
Necessity is the mother of invention.
Thank you. And I think you're right that we possibly don't have 10,000 people motivated enough to need, but we're getting there. We're getting there fast, because everyone's getting so very desperate as prices increase.
You look how excited you are about having a problem big enough to solve. We need problems.
I love having a problem big enough to solve. That's
Okay.
what racing's for. The last thing I want to do is tackle a tiny problem.
And hey, what if that is the point of life? We're here to tackle the world's problems together. I mean, this is what I realized when I started really thinking about reincarnation, and I started thinking about the life I've lived. I have to humble myself. There is an unspoken white privilege, especially as a man at this time in the experience I've lived. So I started thinking, if I'm going to come back, and I could come back as little brown girl somewhere else, right? I want to make the world better for everyone.
Had that thought about reincarnation. If you look at where people are on the planet, if it's just random, the chance you're reincarnated is nearly certainly you're going to probably be reincarnated in China or India, right? So if you care about the world, like, we have to care. Anyway, I care about both the generations to come, and that every human being on this planet is fed and looked after. And if I'm selfish enough to care about my next reincarnation, then like, yeah, we have to make the world everywhere a better place, because the chance you're going to be reincarnated as the next Elon Musk is nearly a zero. The chance you're going to be part of the half the world that lives on less than a few dollars a day, much higher.
That's true. We got a lot more opportunities to return in a tough situation than with a silver spoon in our mouth.
And since we like problems, we probably did choose to get Elon Musk probably has it on easy mode.
Hey, Jubilee, thank you. If you're stepping out, I want to be respectful. Thank you.
Thank you. This was great.
Do you have a channel, Jubilee, or Chelsea?
I do. I have a few channels. I don't think Chelsea doesn't have a YouTube channel. She posts on.
You should drop the link in the back at least so I can sub.
My current channel that I'm normally on is on strike at the moment. It just got a strike yesterday. But my other
I just
two
got off
are
of one.
Jubilee sees live and is the one that has a strike, and Jubilee creates something amazing is the one I'm currently restreaming on right now. And there's another one, Mean Girls or Sad Girls, which is my secondary one to
What was your strike for?
Medical misinformation, because I was unlisted copying this guy. Like I was keeping a copy of this guy's video, and I got a strike as well because he put medical misinformation out there. So
that's interesting.
So it's weird when it's unlisted or private and YouTube still strikes it.
Yeah, they've been hammering my unlisted videos. It's wild.
Yeah. If you have your, oh, did you? You already did it.
I was just dropping mine back there for her if she wants them. We're look at us. Look at all three of us getting strikes.
Yep. It's a little ridiculous, in my opinion. Here we go.
I don't know if that worked.
Thank you. This is the link for Jubilee where she's streaming on, and I'll. You said the strike comes off pretty soon. I'll.
Yeah, it's only a week. It's a week's worth.
All right. Anyway, thank you.
Well, thanks for hanging out, guys, and I will.
Yep. Good talk.
I come in all the time to watch. I will see you. I don't know how to leave without it being my streamer. I guess I just X out.
Here.
Bye.
Here. All right. Thank you. Hey, I wanted to toss an idea to you because we haven't agreed on everything, but on the major issues of how you treat people, what you do in life, you and I, we agree on the core issue.
We get along with each other, but we agree on almost nothing as far as our intellectual.
All right. Okay. We do have a number of disagreements. I wanted to address the one that you mentioned. No way in. You actually, I shared with you those documents, right?
There's a lot of stuff there. I've started reading it. There's a lot of shit there.
It is. It's overwhelming, and a lot of it could be very boring.
It's been fascinating so far, but I've kind of dove right into the juicy part.
Yeah, the last one, it's like a 26-page write-up from the forensic psychiatrist.
Yeah, yep.
I don't know if I've actually read it closely. I've skimmed through it, and what I read, he did a good job of accurately reflecting back what I shared with him. But the reason I'm bringing it up recently, especially with sharing it with you, I've been trying since that date. Okay, it's been a while since I tried, but I've been trying to get a conversation with that guy. I tried for months. Well, I didn't have money. Then when I did have money, I went back to him, said I wanted to hire him to.
What do you want to talk to him about?
Because here, one of the documents there was the regulation that required me to bring a doctor's note.
Mm-hmm.
The requirement was, am I a danger? Right? So I paid that guy, it might have been a couple $1,000s. I paid that guy good money to do an evaluation on me based upon what was required of me. He didn't do that. He found the conclusion that I'm too disagreeable. And please, this is where I'm hoping another eye could see. If you look at what's going on, his opinion was wrong.
Well, that is the one that I'm currently on. I'm not all the way through it yet at all. But he did. I mean, his job is to give an unbiased assessment. So yes, you hired him, but that doesn't guarantee you get the outcome you want. I haven't read far enough in it to have much feedback. I would say this though. I think that you're going to have to convince them that you've addressed your personal issues to move forward. I think whether or not you agree that they're there, I think that you need to at least do something to get them to to feel that it's been addressed because they've been established internally on the paperwork, right?
Well, they've made claims on the paperwork.
Well, they've
Their
made
claims were not substantiated. And this is what I've said. The forensic psychiatrist, he was hired to do a job, to review the facts and offer his professional opinion on the facts. Well, the facts included that when I met with him, I said, here's my literal situation. People who know me are telling me they won't talk to me until I get a piece of paper. So the people who claim to know me are telling me I need help, but they will not help me with anything. So he called some of those people who were involved in ending my career, and he found, you know, their testimony that said I disagreed with them. Well, hello, I disagreed with their improper representation of me. I disagreed with their false accusations. So, Flo, however it comes out, I hope you enjoy. It's a crazy story.
I am enjoying it. It's a crazy story. You've been very honest and open with it. You know, like I'm reading this and I'm not seeing anything that you've misrepresented, right?
Thank
But yeah, no, my feedback is premature because I have not read enough, but I do. But my instinct right now is, and this isn't really a new instinct, but it will be, whether or not you don't have to agree with them, they could be entirely wrong, but playing the game is going to be more expedient towards whatever your ends are than insisting, than not playing the game, if that makes sense. Sometimes you got to play the game.
I try. And that's it brought me to here. Tell you what, I'm gonna wrap this up. I do want to thank you sincerely. I appreciate you joining and the feedback and even the resistance you've offered to me. I appreciate you, Flow Stay.
Well, thank you for having me up. And it's always interesting. It's not always pleasant, but it's always interesting.
I can respect that. That's honest. It isn't always pleasant being with me. Sometimes I'm pretty boring. Sometimes I'm even rude. I'm going to toss you out. Thank you.
Bye.
Brother. The brothers and sisters, sincerely, to Jubilee and Chelsea and Flow State, what was it, Powder Dusty? Thank you. Thank you for joining. Brothers and sisters, those of you who tuned in, I hope you get the idea. The idea of solution raising. You can incorporate that with anyone you trust, even people you're just associated with. The idea of bringing together the creativity, the different perspectives of other people. Hello, that's how we learn. We learn from others. Others bring ideas. Even if the ideas disagree with us, it gives us a different perspective to consider what we've found. And with the different perspective, the different feedbacks, they bring different ideas. And I tell you what, it feels better to focus on solutions than problems. But if you're not willing to look at the problems and be honest and accept the fact that, hey, there's a problem. Maybe it's not directly related to me. Maybe I'm not directly experiencing the problem, but I see problems. And working together, families, communities, groups, organizations, working together, we can solve the world's problems. It starts with being honest. I'm going to wrap it up here so we don't continue too long. I think we maintained on topic pretty well. And we'll see what happens in the future. Please and thank you. Return again in the future. We'll see what happens then. Until next time, choose love, peace for everyone, and live without fear. Trust a better world is waiting. It's here. Peace.